With us for the Center for Inclusion and Cross-Cultural Engagement to speak to us today, and we really appreciate you being here, Alex. Thanks so much.
Of course, anything for you, Patrick.
All right.
Hello, everybody. I'm going to talk loud. One, to wake you up. I know you're tired. And two, I think this is a very important topic. Let's see if that's going to work for me. Just a second. Well, while that warms up, my name's Alexandria White. I'm the Assistant Director for the Center for Inclusion and Cross-Cultural Engagement. Let's see, I came to Ole Miss in early 2000, and I returned back in October 2015. When I'm not in the office, I'm doing presentations like this, research, at conferences talking about diversity in some of EDHE classes, as well as in the community also. Coming up, of course, I will have the privilege of teaching the EDHE 305 class, so I look forward to that. This diversity and inclusion workshop is something that I think is very, very important to you as instructors, as well as you bringing that information to your students and your coworkers as well. So what I like to do is, everybody stand up. Everybody stand up. I believe in getting some blood flowing. Yes, I'm that type of speaker. All right, so put your hand on your hip. Some of the people that work with me, we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it. So put your hand on your hip, and I want you to spell diversity with your hips. So with your hips. D-I-V-E-R. Make good on the S now. Make good on the S. I-T-Y. There we go. Let's get some blood. All right, let's go.
We didn't do it.
All righty. So we're going to begin with some of these learning guidelines. I will not read them out. But as you can see, we want you to be present. We want you to be open and honest. Definitely what is discussed in this room stays in this room. And we want that to also be a disclaimer to your students in your classroom. So basically what I'm saying to you, make sure you go forth and pass it on to the students. I want to know about taking risks. If you know me personally, I take a lot of risks. Sometimes I ask for forgiveness, not permission. Hey, take risks. Lean into discomfort. So we're going to, later on in this presentation, talk about things that make you uncomfortable in diversity. We're also going to utilize this. So get ready, page 283, chapter 17. I think that's the diversity. So we're also going to make this impactful.
It's different in the new text.
It's different in the new text? What you got, Kevin?
Page 71, I think, through something.
Would you like a copy of it?
Yes, because I sure have the old one. I wonder if it's the same question.
71.
Thank you.
You can just keep that.
Okay, let's see. Yep, perfect. 71, we're good, ready to use it. All right. So as I travel, as I learn about different diversity conversations, we always have some community foundations that hone in on what we're going to be doing as educators and how we're going to live our lives, as well as acquiring knowledge regarding diversity. There is not a diversity finish line. I like to say that to people. I work in diversity and I don't know everything. However, I do have some resources in my toolkit that allows me to keep learning, ask questions and things like that. So if you've already been to our diversity group workshop, raise your hand. Okay. A lot of people use workshops like this check mark, I did my due diligence, I went to a diversity workshop, I'm good. No, not so much. Okay, We don't know all there is to know, like I reiterated before. There is not a diversity finish line. This chapter is just surface level. There are tons and tons of things that we as educators can do to actually intertwine diversity in everything that we do, that every interaction, every activity that we do. There is means to do that. There is diversity of socioeconomic status, diversity of religion, sexuality, race, demographic or geographic diversity. So there is a plethora of these topics that you can intertwine in some of your activities in class. Acknowledge, appreciate, and celebrate progress. As you know, the University of Mississippi has been very progressive with pushback from people, but it has been very progressive. And so when I hear people say, oh, is this ever going to get better? There's always going to be progression. And in your educating students, it's very impactful that you remind them, this is a whole lot better than 1962. We are not there yet, but we are continuously being progressive in our actions and making sure that the university is inclusive. Sorry, the MAC conversion did not work out so well. UM mission statement, free, open, and inclusive environment. Has the name of my office in there. Challenges and inspires a diverse community. Develops a sense of global responsibility. Promotes inclusiveness in its student body, faculty, and staff. Requires respect for all individuals and groups. Of commitment to inclusion, challenging experiences with campus climate, negative perceptions of campus climate, and lack of success and decrease in persistence and retention. So further on, we are actually going to hear some stories of students, just brief snippets of things that they have experienced here. And then we will definitely have a dialogue about how that might have impacted the student as well as the instructor. Well, my office is currently in Stewart Hall, but once that good old Union gets built, we do have a suite there in the Union. We're currently in Stewart Hall 129. Not only do we deal with diversity and inclusion, we deal with our first generation students. So any programming to help enhance their experience as well. We are increasing our Jewish population, so we're also doing programming with them as well. We do programming, we do trips, workshops, mentoring programs. Yes, this is just a collage of some programs that we have done in collaboration with the Sarah Eisen Center, McLean Institute, ASB. So we do not work in a silo because, once again, we are not the one-stop shop for diversity. It takes all of us to continue to promote inclusiveness and diversity at the campus. As you can see, we are very busy. It is a two-person full-time department, and we have 3 graduate students. These are our mentoring programs because what do we want to do? EDHE is a form of retention and persistence. So we also have mentoring programs to help accompany that, especially for our minority students, our students of color, and of course our Black males who currently have the lowest graduation rate. So we want to do that and be intentional in that process. Okay, everybody, Kevin, you might need to slide on over. Everybody find a partner real quick. Next to you, or trio. Yeah, either one. So while you're doing that, some people don't like these questions like in a full audience. So I want you to answer that on one-on-one. Answer these one-on-one with your partner, and of course, if you feel comfortable, we will discuss some of your answers. So it is 3:20, so about 3:24. If you can answer those questions. So let's go. How do you define diversity?
something to drink?
Oh, sure, yes.
Yep.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
What happened, Patrick? What was that? The whiteboard?
They're replacing. This was only, they were here last week.
Oh,
It's the
okay.
only time period they had to take them out. So, go figure.
Alrighty, all right. So, who wants to share? What partners or trios want to share? First one, how do you define diversity? Y'all talked about some. Juwan.
If I answer the first, can I answer the second one too? Sorry.
Go for it.
So for me, diversity is people in a room with differences, whether they're seen or unseen. So everybody has some type of difference that is either disclosed or non-disclosed, undisclosed for the group to know, but they're all in that room. And inclusion comes in when everybody with these differences are equal partners in this room. So everybody has an equal voice, equal standing, equal ability to deliver their perspective. So
You got it.
They work together, so I didn't want to say one without the other.
You got it. Look at you. Okay. All right. Something you are comfortable discussing about diversity.
Ethnicity.
What?
Ethnicity. Topics of
Ethnicity.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, sir.
We said LGBTQ.
Okay. Okay.
Stereotypes.
Stereotypes. Anybody else?
I said women's issues.
Yes. Yes. Very. If you know what you are comfortable discussing, sometimes lead with that. In a presentation in this chapter, you can lead with that. Now, topics of diversity or difference you are uncomfortable discussing.
Religion.
Religion. Kevin, what about same thing? What else? We've got some topics, definitely some
To me,
instances.
it's inequity in the workplace.
Mm-hmm. Could you elaborate more on that, Miss Jackie?
As far as gender and, race, the inequality.
Correct. One more. Yes, sir.
I know me myself, not necessarily, it's hard for me to talk about race, but sometimes I feel like it's hard for me as a straight white male to try and give a certain level of empathy or sympathy for somebody who feels like I have no understanding of what it is that they're going through.
I hear that quite often. And so what I tell to white males is that we actually need you to be the most comfortable because you have that privilege, the hierarchy, whether it's a gender and race. And how do you tap into that? And I don't know if you've heard of Tim Wise, but I always give that resource as a white male who constantly pushes back. And of course he hears that. He's a very well-known speaker on diversity, and he pushes back, well, what? You're white, you're male, what do you know about diversity? And he's like, well, I made it my point to learn about diversity. And when he talks from a perspective of privilege and how, as a white male, I might be seen. So Tim Wise, yes, he's an awesome speaker. That it's very impactful to hear him talk about diversity and how he's used his privilege to help others. So that is quite a common comment about diversity when I'm in a room. I go to IFC fraternities and I hear that quite often. Well, I can't say anything. Sometimes there's a time to listen, but there's also a time to reflect on your experiences. So totally understandable. Anything else? Good point that he talked about. I'm a book person. So who's seen this book? All right. 35 Dumb Things Well-Intended People Say. Okay, this is a short read, and it's something that you can do in your downtime. A very short read. It's also an audiobook, but I use this because it's straight to the point, and it is common phrases that people in your circle have said that you might not have known was offensive. Some of them are, some of my best friends are black. I don't think of you as gay, disabled, Jewish. And one of my favorites, I don't see color. I'm colorblind. So this little book, in a short and precise sentences, tell you why those are a step back towards conversations of diversity. This was actually, I had read it already, but the Center for Student Success and First Year Experience, the Ole Miss Student Union, and the Department of Student Housing actually gave this to professionals. And it is a very, very short and sweet book that shows you and some of the phrases that have been used, one being what he just mentioned, and how it can be impact versus intent. So I know we're already reading all these other books, but this is short and sweet. All right. So let's get in our mind frame. If it's August, it's a Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. We all Monday, Wednesday, Friday classes, right? Okay. It's the first week of school. Their minds are on other stuff that's probably not academic. I want to give you some tools on how to have those difficult dialogues in the conversation, in the classroom. So what I believe firmly is that it starts with you. It doesn't start when you leave this meeting. It doesn't start the day of class. It starts with you. And so anytime I discuss diversity, I know my trigger points, okay? I know my trigger points. I know things that make me take a breath and work on my breathing, okay? And so I need you to do that. I need you to sit down with yourself and think of what are my trigger points. And if I have none, that's a problem. But you need to understand things that trigger you as an instructor and as someone who is going to teach a very impactful lesson. What are some areas, what are some areas you are uncomfortable discussing? I'm uncomfortable discussing, before I took a class, I was very lax in learning about Jewish people. And so I took it upon myself to take an online class, because I never got to take it in undergrad, about Jewish people and how Jewish people are actually connected to African Americans in particular ways. And so I took it upon myself. Maybe because I knew I was going to do this profession, but I also wanted to be a lifelong learner, okay? So be intentional about what you know and don't know before you teach this class. We have been asked, we're a two-person department again, we have been asked continuously to come to classrooms, and I can't make them all. Me and Shambota cannot make them all. But we do have an I-team, which are students who we have trained to talk about discussions like this. So only two of us, we can't make them all to every request, but we are trying to make sure that we prepare the I-team to go ahead and be able to facilitate some of those questions. So there is a link on our website if you need us to come to your class. Probably won't, hopefully, if you just happen to be the lucky one, you'll have me or Shambota to come. But we do have an I-team that we practice with weekly about these difficult conversations. Be proactive. Before the course even begins, do some thinking about what topics in your area may become controversial in the classroom. Okay, so let's talk about some history here. What are some topics connected to Ole Miss that could be controversial? Who said that? Exactly. The name Ole Miss. What else?
I felt like last semester politics turned everything up to 11. It didn't matter what we were talking about.
Correct.
I mean, I kept the lid on, but I didn't feel great about it. So.
Okay. What else? Mascots. Athletics.
2008 election.
Dixie. The current administration. Things like that might come up. Date rate. The incident with Hugh Freeze. These students are going to come here and they want to talk about that. What happened? Is it true? Is it not true? From a woman's standpoint, his wife's standpoint. These are conversations that could result in a diversity conversation. What else?
Greek life.
Oh, yes. So who's in here? Alexa, when is sorority recruitment?
It'll be September 17th to the 24th, early this year.
Okay. Plenty of conversation about diversity. Socioeconomic status, ethnicity in regards to that. How many other students that aren't white are in fraternities and sororities here at the university? Very, very impactful conversations around that. That could be thrown up in class. So what I plan to do in my class is I don't like to talk at them, I like to talk with them. And so I plan to have a what's hot, what's going on, kind of like on The View. What's The View? When they have hot topic, yes. When's the hot topic? What's the hot topic on campus? One that builds rapport and lets me know what's on their mind. So it's just not, we're gonna read this book, we're gonna talk about Just Mercy, but it's how we build rapport with these students. What's the hot topic on campus today? So that is something that I plan to use in my teaching. Establish ground rules. So I don't know if I made enough. If not, I can send this out to you. But I wanted to make sure everybody had a copy. So this is an establishing ground rules handout that Shambota and I use in many facilitated discussions. Always use a respectful tone, no interrupting or yelling, name calling or character attacks. Listen actively, speak from your own experience. Not, I heard this. How about this affected me in this manner? Okay, we don't like to do third person when we're talking about something as personal and intentional as diversity. We kind of want to speak from the this happened to me. It's just something that you can consider during that. If it's not, I can definitely get some more.
I'll scan this and put it on.
Okay, cool beans. And of course, maintain confidentiality. Just like when I have discussions like this, I'm like, I don't want to see this on Snapchat. I don't want to see you tweeting, posting, whatever y'all do nowadays about anything that happened in this conversation. So make sure we maintain confidentiality. All right. Oh, I forgot to bring. Oh man. Okay. I usually like to give out little things, but so before we go any further and get into some other more gritty things, let's see if you know these answers. Blank refers to having cultural or national similarities. What we got? That's right, ethnicity. Blank refers to a self-identified, self-reported social and cultural concept that places an individual into one of many global groups. You got it. Blank includes acceptance, respect, and recognition that individuals are unique and different. Exactly. Blank is the belief that a particular race is superior or inferior to another. Blank may be viewed based on our own experiences, impressions gained by others, characters, discussions from family and friends. Blank exists when we act in a manner that recognizes and respects individual similarities and differences in others, so they and their efforts are valued and viewed as a significant part of a particular community. All righty. So let's go. Oh, y'all, let me get in here. Let's turn to page 71. Oh, Lord, that made me seem like I was in church. Page 88, actually. Let's go to 88. So, glossary. Something you should look over: diversity, bigotry, stereotype. A lot of people get those confused, okay? So we all have biases. We do. If you say you don't, yeah, right. Everybody has a bias. Stereotypes come from somewhere, do they not? It is when you use those stereotypes to discriminate against people, to take the privilege that you have and not give someone a job, make a comment about something. So those are different terminologies and different things. This is a really quick glossary that you can have, make sure that your students know about. Okay, so Jawan mentioned it, but visually, I'm a visual person. As I was saying, diversity includes acceptance, respect, and recognition that individuals are unique and different. Inclusion exists when we act in a manner that recognizes and respects individuals' similarities and differences. So that's visually how it looks. All right? So we're going to increase your terminology today. Equity, equality. Okay? Equity, equality. Do you see, can someone explain the picture?
Well, on the left, everybody's got the same, we've all got the same box. We're all reaching for the same tree, but we're not inherently equal people, so some of us are starving.
They can't get the apple, that's right.
And then on the right, everybody actually has the same opportunities because we've made up for those inherent differences and everybody gets an equal shot.
That's correct.
One of the ladies who was doing a presentation on the special ed, I guess it was the disability rights, said the difference in high school and college is high school is this one over here. The special ed, they have everybody succeed. In college, it's on the other side. Everybody has the chance to succeed.
Interesting.
That was what, who was the lady? Yeah.
Okay.
And it was the same thing.
Okay. Any other comment? But yes, definitely visual, actually seeing that and thinking, oh, the university is the tree. The university is the tree, and how do we make it equal for everybody to get to the apple or, yeah. All right, so these are student stories. It was my third day in class during my freshman year. I was the only minority student in class. I heard a fellow classmate say, I don't sit next to, and this happened at the University of Mississippi. I want to participate in Pride Camp, but I'm scared someone will tell my parents. I heard my instructor say, her name is just too hard for me to pronounce. My teacher was very unsupportive during Ramadan and Eid. I was told those are not recognized by this university, so I cannot make any accommodations. Okay, so first one. Student is in your class and comes to you with that. What is your reaction? Could be internal processing right now.
Well, I would say the first easy is you file a bias incident claim. If the student
Correct. Correct. Bias incidents reports come through my office. There is actually a committee that looks at those. They are processed through online submission form. So, correct. So we did the administrative thing. All right, we did the administrative thing. I believe in doing the self-care thing. Counseling center. Friend network that the student can to talk to. Checking up on the student. These are all activities. We want to do the administrative part, make sure we got it in black and white and that there is a record of this, and then we want to holistically look at that student, okay? And it's just not going to be that first week. It's going to be if that student tapers off in coming to class, if you don't hear from that student, if that student continuously to be by themselves in the classroom, it's just being observant as instructors. And if you don't know how to have that conversation, please find a coworker, colleague, even call our office. More than likely, we'll already know because we got the incident report. But if you want to have further conversations, by all means, please contact us. Why I said that this was the Pride Camp issue. Pride Camp is something that we established for freshman students who identify as LGBT. We purposely do not do it before classes start because why? Parent and or guardian will more than likely know if you're going to Pride Camp. So we purposely have it after school starts. So if you are not out to your family, then you can remain this confidential. This became a issue when another student saw a student at Pride Camp. And so we were overwhelmed with the response from that student and how that impacted that student because they were already scared about attending initially. Had the conversation, parents called, yeah, that was interesting. But just be aware that that is something that is going on and that you should be cognizant of. I think the second week in class. So, heard this from students. I heard my instructor say, my name is too hard for them to pronounce, okay? As people, we like people to remember our name. When I'm doing something, when I'm interacting with someone, I try to remember their name. It is a total microaggression, another vocabulary word. I think it's in this glossary. It is total microaggression when someone says, can I just call you Sean? I think of that because Shamboda's name, people have walked up to her, they have known her 3 minutes. Can I just call you Sean? And I was with her one day when that happened. I was like, hell no. Her name is Shambota. Okay, so this is a total microaggression for someone with a difficult, not commonly used name. Just be cognizant of that. Yes,
This
ma'am.
actually happened to my child. I have adopted a Chinese daughter,
Mm-hmm.
and we practice very often to pronounce her name.
That's right.
And she had one of her instructors say just last semester, whatever. And she cried about this. She said, why did he say that to me? And it hurt her feelings so bad, and I wanted to go punch him in the throat.
See,
It hurt my kid.
yes,
And
yeah,
her name is extremely difficult to pronounce because the consonant sounds in Chinese are completely different.
completely different.
But that's her name.
That's
And
hurtful.
she went through her entire freshman year going by her last name because she
To make
didn't
other
think
people
anybody
comfortable.
could pronounce her first name.
No.
It's a very real problem.
If we can
with
pronounce
international students.
Michelangelo, Shakespeare, Leonardo DiCaprio, we can pronounce Shaniqua or any other ethnic sounding name, Muhammad, whatever. And so when I talk to my students, I'm just gonna go by, no, that's not your government name, no. Make them say your name. It's very impactful, learning someone else's name. Yes,
I'll just say
Kevin.
the way that, I would never say that, but the way I get around that is I help my students introduce themselves.
Correct,
before they
yes.
class, and then ask, and also tell their preferred name. And then I will mark that on my roll and know for the rest of the semester. kind of-
Your name's Billy Bob, do you want to be called Billy or Bob or Billy?
Well, no, I let them just say, introduce yourself
Yourself.
and
Yeah.
give us your preferred name. kind of
What
thing.
is your preferred name?
And if it's something I know I'm gonna have trouble with, the
Yes.
first day I write it.
Exactly, phonetically. Exactly.
So I'll practice and I'll go, did I get it right?
Exactly,
You know, make
common
sure that-
courtesy.
I call everybody by their full government name on the first day. And they get real quick to tell me, I go by this. Middle name and everything.
Yes.
What I did, when I taught last year
Okay.
at my university, I did name tents, where basically these sheets of paper and like little tents, and on the first day of class, they would write out their name and
I
put
like
it,
that.
so that way they can introduce themselves and it shows their spelling and what they prefer to go by. So that way it kind of puts the ball in their court.
Great tips. Just be cognizant of people's names. All right. What's so crazy is this last situation. It happened, and then a news article that I wanted to share with you came up. So our Muslim population is increasing as well. Islamophobia, things like that are increasing as well. So Ramadan and Eid are very, very important holidays for people who practice Islam. And so it is not recognized on the university calendar. It is not something that you can pull up and see, okay, this is the time, these are some things, some tips that I can do. So I was researching this, especially with we don't have any place on campus like a meditation room or a prayer room, something that would be very impactful for our students of all religions. But recently, this was something that happened to a student. As you know, you fast from sun up to sundown. You can only drink water, things like that. So if you're having a test during Ramadan, you might not be at full capacity, okay? And so that's why the student had asked for special accommodations for that. But actually, the University of Washington professors are so intentional in making sure that the students who practice are included and they are functioning at their highest capacity. They actually allowed them to take their test after sunset when they're able to eat and things like that. 5 minutes, yes. And so just understanding your population of students. No one is going to come to you and they're not going to have Muslim on their shirt. You might see a student with a hijab on and you can make an assumption. but just be aware of that with some of your students.
Question with that. So,
Yes.
Is there a way, is it ever right to approach a student if you see them in a hijab or something like that and ask them, do they have any, any?
I've never had to do that. They usually come to me.
I just, to me, that seems like maybe it might be proactive, but at the same time, it might be assuming something about.
You can make an
that.
announcement to the class. You can listen to their interactions. I'm a people watcher, so sometimes one of my students, it was time for them to pray, and so they would get up. I was observant on that, but I've never had to go up to someone and say that. Some of them more likely felt comfortable to approach me, or they are part of something, and you can make that something. But I've never had to do that. Since we have 5 minutes, really quick, just take a look. While you are contemplating those questions, I have a toolkit. I'm meeting with some of you individually to hone in on some of your activities that you might want to do and utilize my toolkit, whether it's activities, conversations, videos. Please reach out to me if you want to make this lesson more impactful, as well as tips to use diversity in other lessons, okay? It is, like I said, it is up to you how you do this intentional lesson with the students. It is going to be uncomfortable. It is going to test you as an instructor. Actually, I hope it does. But we want to make steps to include students in their path of being more global citizens and being inclusive to everyone here on campus. Do you have any comments, answers to the questions?
One thing I'm going to incorporate is something that I learned in high school. I was telling Andy about it, and he said, that sounds like a good idea. My theater teacher made us learn a poem called Respect that she had written at the beginning. Every year I recited it from 7th to 12th grade, and I can remember part of it. It's respect is the worth I recognize in myself and the worth I recognize in another living creature. To show respect to someone, I must first accept that their opinions and experiences have worth. They may not be like mine, and I may not choose to believe or behave the way they do, but because they are a living human being, they deserve worth. Okay. And then it goes on to say I show respect by dressing and grooming myself to look the very best, and it ends with do unto others is, always remember, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And I'm going to incorporate that into my class within the first week and say, this is how we're going to operate our class discussions. And if you were about to say something and it is not going by what this respect poem says, then you need to put your hand down. We're going to live by that code when we're having class discussions.
Underrepresented students, backgrounds.
I think just listen. You need
Listen.
Sometimes they just need someone who will listen to them and then help them get the resources that they need. So.
One thing that we have not mentioned this whole time is language.
Okay.
My Chinese child that I refer to again, when she first entered my class 3 years ago, I could not understand a word she said. She went through every class. Now she passed the TOEFL, the English language. Is that
Right.
what it's called?
Yes, you're right. Yes.
And she said that I was the only instructor that she could understand. I spoke clearly, I spoke to her, I made eye contact to make sure that she was understanding what I was saying. And a lot of our international students can technically speak English, but if you're up there talking yada, 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 you need to be sure that these international students are understanding, even though they speak English well enough to be admitted. You need to, as we say, reach out to them and make sure. I have had lots of Nepalese students.
Yes.
And a lot of times I would just very non-threatening, but after class just say, did you get that? And I had a student that would come up and say, now let me make sure I got that. And I would go over the main points
With
of the
them.
lesson. So language is something that we haven't discussed in diversity. We don't all speak English the same way.
Commonly known phrase is the big thing.
So
It's
what-
A commonly known phrase
Okay.
that people
Yeah.
down here know,
Yeah.
but everybody don't know it.
Yeah.
You know, especially our international students, you say something, like, what does that even mean?
What does that mean?
So, you know, I've started incorporating, does everybody understand what that means? And I would say,
Yeah.
because I'm old, they don't understand my examples a lot of times. And so, anyway, I say, y'all understand what that means? And so I try to do it with commonly known phrases too, because when I have international students, they haven't heard these phrases, it's not common to them.
Correct. Correct. Really quick, resources, not just my office. Sarah Isom, William Winter, Office of Global Engagement, McLean, on-campus resources that can help you with this. We're gonna pass this. This is what we definitely talk to our students about, but I wanna go back to what Kevin said, actually. Come on. There's a profound difference between diversity and transformation. Diversity is in the head, and can be measured by ticking a box. Basically, I went to this class, I'm good. Transformation requires embodiment. It is about our individual and collective hearts and guts, and requires vulnerability and a willingness to grow and change, become uncomfortable. This is what our schools can engage students in, but we really need to listen to our young people. So I want to end on that note. Definitely diversity is more than just this workshop. It's something that should be intertwined in your daily life. Please contact me if you need anything from your toolkit. If you don't have that sheet, Patrick will get it out to you. Okay, thank you, sorry.